Hi guys, welcome to another Yarn Scrap Friday with me, Laura, and part 2 of our sunflower tutorial. So last Friday, or in the last video, depending on when you're watching this, I showed you how to make the basic sunflower, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to add the stem and the wire and all that stuff to turn it into a more realistic sunflower. So let's begin. Okay, so in part 2 we're going to be working on the stem part. So hopefully you've already followed along in part 1 last Friday, and or whenever you're watching this in the previous video. And we're just going to add the green part and the stem to turn it into a more realistic flower. So for this part of the tutorial, we're going to need some green yarn. So again, this is a sport baby weight yarn weight of 2. With that, I'm using a 3mm crochet hook. And you also need a pair of scissors and a yarn needle as well. So let's get some scissors and a yarn needle as well. And also we're going to be, for the stem, we're going to be using some Florist wire. So I'll put in the description below the actual weight of this. I think it's like 0.3mm. I think I'll double check. So some Florist green wire, which is quite thin and bendable. And with that, obviously some wire cutters so we can cut the wire. And we're going to be using some Florist tape as well. So this is this special tape that you can just pick up on Amazon, same with the wire. And when you stretch it, it becomes a bit sticky. So it's really good for making flower stems. But we're going to start off with the green yarn first. So we're going to take our green yarn and our previously worked sunflower. And if you remember from the previous video, you should have some skipped back loops on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to find one of these back loops and join our green yarn. So let's find a skipped back loop, and you should have, how many was it? You should have 16 of these. So we're going to put our hook into there, take our green yarn and join our green yarn in that skipped back loop. Okay, just bring that through and secure with a chain 1, and we're just going to tighten that down. And we're going to go back into there again and do a single crochet, and we're going to work 1 single crochet in each back loop around. So go back into that same one, same skipped back loop, and work a single crochet. So in UK terms, that's a double crochet. And again, I'm just going to tighten that tail end, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in each previously skipped back loop around, and we should have 16. So that's 2, then a little bit fiddly, 3. Very hard to do on camera with a camera in the way. So 3. And just repeat that all the way around until you've got 16 single crochets in those previously skipped back loops. $15, and the last one, 16. So you should have 16 single crochets, and then we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet to join the round. Okay, so hopefully it looks like this. You want to keep these tail ends in the middle. And we're going to do another round of 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So we're going to start off with a little chain 1. Don't count that as a stitch. Go back into the same stitch you just slip stitched into, and work a single crochet, and we'll do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So keeping a stitch count of 16. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so just going up to the last stitch, the second round. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 16, and then slip stitch in your first single crochet to join. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to bring up a little loop, so make sure that doesn't come undone. And we're going to add some wire at this point. I'm just going to cut down this longer brown tail end because it's annoying me. It doesn't need to be that long. There we go. So we're going to get some wire at this point, some of the Florist wire. And we want our stem to be about this long. And then we're going to double up like this and then cut our wire. And we want to do that twice. So again, just roughly get this length, then bend to about here and cut. And what we're going to do, because this wire is quite thin, we can actually use a yarn needle to thread this onto our flower. So, and then just bend that into place. And what we want to do is, keeping our tail ends out the way, want to find the middle where all these tail ends are coming out. Actually, if we move these down, you'll see better. And we're going to go from one side to the other. So just go in roughly one side and come out the other side like that. Bring your wire through and take that off. And what we're going to do is make sure these are the same length. And then we're going to pinch at the end here and then twist. Okay, and we can twist all the wire together if we want to. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so that's our first wire added, and we want to do the same thing again. So we've got 2 lots of wire. So again, thread that on. And then moving our tail ends out the way so we can see what we're doing. So this wire is going from left to right here. So if we move it 90 degrees, we can move the wire out the way. We can go from this side to this side. Okay. A little bit fiddly this. I was concerned about doing this on camera because it's a little bit fiddly. My wires come off. So just thread that back on. And then hope for the best. Let's bring that through. Okay. Just undo that. And again, what we're going to do is match up the ends so they're the same length roughly. And then pinch and twist. And we can twist that with the other wire as well. So all 4 pieces of wires are pinched together. Okay. And then what we want to do is make sure they're all the same length. So it's about here. Cut off any excess. So all our wires are the same length. Okay, so then what we want to do is carry on with our green part. So we're going to move the tail ends out the way and rejoin our hook and move on to the next round. And we're going to start off with chain 1. And we're going to do 1 single crochet in that first stitch. So the same stitch we just slip stitched into, do a single crochet. And then we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. I'm just going to do a normal single crochet as opposed to the invisible. So go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, then yarn over, pull through all 3. You can do the invisible decrease if you want to, but it's a bit fiddly, so. And the next stitch, we're going to repeat that then. So the next stitch, we just do 1 single crochet, so just the 1. Then we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. So we go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, pull through all 3. Okay, let's move our tail ends out the way and repeat that. So next stitch, 1 single crochet, just the one. Then single crochet 2 together. To the next stitch, bring the yarn through, into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, pull through all 3. Okay, so just repeat that all the way around. So 1 single crochet, then single crochet 2 together. One single crochet, single crochet 2 together, 2. Okay, and I've actually got 1 stitch left, so in the very, very last stitch we're just going to do 1 single crochet. So you should have 1 stitch left over, and your stitch count should have gone down to 11, and then we find our first single crochet and slip stitch into there. Okay. Okay. Then we've just got 1 more round after that, and we're just going to single crochet 2 stitches together until the end. But we want to keep these tail ends sticking out the end. We don't want to use them as stuffing, so make sure all your tail ends are sticking out at the end. So again, we're just going to chain 1 and then going into the same stitch just slip stitched into. We're going to single crochet 2 stitches together until the end. Probably until the last stitch, actually, because you have 1 stitch left over. So single crochet 2 together until the last stitch. Single crochet the next 2 together. To move the wire out the way. So this is quite fiddly, keeping the tail ends and the wire in the middle, but persevere. It'll be worth it in the end. Single crochet those 2 together, single crochet the next 2 together, and then the next 2 together, and then hopefully got 1 stitch left, and we're going to just do 1 single crochet in that last stitch, just the 1. Okay, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first decrease, slip stitch into there. Then we're going to cut our yarn with scissors, not wire cutters, and pull that through. And what you want to do, so we've still got the wires and the tail end sticking out. We want to add a little bit of stuffing into the center of here if you want to. You don't have to. We can just take our tail end and sew the remaining hole closed. So we're going to go into the next stitch, out through the next stitch, into the next stitch, out through the next stitch, and maybe one more time, into the next stitch, out through the next stitch, and then, like with all the other tail ends, we want to sew up through the middle and add this tail end to all the other tail ends. Okay, so hopefully you got something that looks like this. You may want to stuff it, and we want to make sure the tail ends are not longer than the wire, so I'm going to cut these tail ends down a little bit. And all that's left to do now is to add the florist tape. So hopefully you've got something that looks like this. And we want to hide all these tail ends and the wire with under the Florist tape. So we're going to take our Florist tape and just give it a little bit of stretch to begin. Let's neaten off that edge to begin. So you can just stretch it, start it getting sticky. And if you want to prevent your stem from being sticky, wipe your fingers as you go. Otherwise you're going to be making the stem quite sticky. And what we want to do is to take the end and getting it as close to the green part as possible. We're going to start twisting, stretching and twisting as we go. And then just twist it in your hands, going slightly diagonal so it moves down, encompassing all those yarn ends and the wire under the Florist tape. Okay. And just do that all the way to the bottom. And hopefully we end up with a beautiful green covered stem. Okay, so when you get to the end, you want to go about 1 centimetre past the end of the wire. And what we're going to do then is just rip our tape. Should have done it a bit neater than that. And we're going to fold, we'll go a little bit further. We're going to fold the end over and then go back in the opposite direction. And that will cover the end of the wire. Make it a bit neater. Just twist as you go. See, I'm sounding like an expert here, but I'm actually just getting in a mess. I'm sure you can do a much neater job. Okay. Again, I'm just going slightly diagonal to go back up the stem. Okay, so there we go. And that creates a much nicer end. And that's the end of our sunflower. So the stem's a little bit short on this one. I did actually a slightly longer one on here. But there we go, there is our finished sunflower. And you can stuff this or not stuff this, it's entirely up to you. It doesn't really make a difference. This one is not stuffed. This one, I think I added a few tail ends of stuffing. But there we go, there is our finished stem on our sunflower. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you managed to follow along and complete some gorgeous, realistic mini sunflowers, and I hope you really enjoyed that tutorial. And I want to say a huge thank you, as always, to my members on my website, Membership Plus members. Do join me on the Membership Plus area on my website for extra content behind the scenes and vlogs and podcasts and so much more. So do check it out. But yeah, hopefully you've made some gorgeous, realistic sunflowers, and I will see you soon for some more crochet crafting fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.